So good evening and welcome to the Pathway to EQ Coach. My name is David Corcoran. For those who don't know me, I'm labeled here as 6 seconds, but I'll rename that in just a second. And I'd like to also welcome Maria Olsson, my colleague from the European team. Maria, would you like to just tell us a bit about who you are as I rename myself?
Thank you, David. Take your time to rename yourself. Very nice to be with you in this webinar. Thank you for having me here, David. I'm your colleague. I'm part of the 6 Seconds Europe team member. I am the manager for 6 Seconds Corporate in Europe and also AQB senior consultant. And I'm also an ACC-ICF coach. So I'm also an emotional intelligence coach.
Wonderful.
Also, one of the several reasons why I'm very happy to be here with David during this webinar.
Yes, thank you for joining me, Maria. So for those who don't know me, I'm the EQ Professionals Manager here within 6 Seconds Europe. I'm also a coach, an ACC coach, slightly lower level than Maria, but we're going to explain the differences tonight. And together, we here in Europe are here to support you. So maybe you are new to coaching. Maybe you are an established coach. Maybe you saw the LinkedIn posts and advertising and thought, well, what's an EQ coach and how does the whole pathway work? So tonight we want to welcome Rula and Tatiana there joining in to our webinar, and anyone else who joins as we go along. Please ask questions as we go. We're really here to serve you, and we want to see that you can understand our EQ coach pathway. You may have also questions about our tools and assessments. And tonight really is a light touch into all these areas, as well as a little bit of interaction from those who are there as well. So we'd love to see you interact with us as we go along, and we can make the most of our time together. So welcome to the Pathway to EQ Coach. So by introducing ourselves, we've just done, and I want to ask you maybe to think about sharing with us, if you can use the chat. Maybe you're either brand new to coaching, or you are a coach who wants to add EQ to your repertoire. So you can either type 1 or 2 in the chat, or feel free to write a slightly longer sentence if you have the capacity to do so. So I just give 10, 15 seconds to do that as well. And I see a hand up. That's nice. Let me work out how we can answer that hand as we go along. We are learning here as well. So how can I do that? But yes, if you have a moment, hopefully it works to type into the chat or into the Q&A section, in fact, as we go along.
We have 2 hands up now. I see Laria wrote, and also Giovanna wrote that people can't see the chat. So thank you, everybody, for understanding each time using a different system again, or different login has different features, right, David?
Absolutely. Yeah. Let me click on allow to talk. Rula, would you like to say anything? Your hand is up.
Hi. Hi, David. Hi, Maria.
Yes. Hi, welcome.
Hi, Rula.
I can see only 2 of you in the Zoom. Is there anyone else?
There are others online. Good question. Yeah, so it's a webinar style format, which means that you'll just see the 2 of us and interaction occurs through the chat, unless like now I bring you in and allow you to speak, which is wonderful. So we do want to hear all your voices. So that's good.
I am Rula from Dubai.
Okay.
I'm self-employed at the moment. I'm looking to grow into coaching professionally. I've been doing it for the last, let's say, period of 1 year, professionally and life coaching.
Okay.
I love EQ, of course. I've been exploring a couple of schools, and the one that appeals to me the most is 6 Seconds. Actually, I grew into 6 Seconds when I was growing in the role of learning and development person. So that's why I fall in love with the concept of EQ. I esteem that one day the whole globe will be embracing 100% EQ in all the organizations, whether it is corporate, medium, or small businesses.
Wow, wonderful, Rula. Thank you for sharing that. You're really part of the 6 Seconds vision to have 1 billion people practicing emotional intelligence. We can hear through your voice how emotions are contagious. Thank you for your vision and supporting that.
Yes, thank you. Great. And I see here, thanks, Tatiana, the chat is disabled. Can you please enable it so we can communicate? Yes, I really would like to know how Ilaria, who's our chief in charge behind the scenes, if Ilaria, you can write to me. Yes, I'm trying. I see it on my chat here, and I can't see where else I am able to enable anything. Please help. Yeah, I click on chat, maybe show chat previews. Chat is here. We are recording.
Let me see on the settings. Oh, wait. All allow attendees. Okay, all questions. Let me see if that works now. I changed something in the setting.
Okay.
Attendees should see now all.
All right. Well, in this case, let's keep going. So we heard from Rula, who's not new to coaching or newer to coaching, but not brand new to coaching, which is great. And maybe others, if you want to use the Q&A function, that has been working. So perhaps you can add your comments in as questions. We see some open questions. And so, yes, we should see that. I'm sorry that if it's disabled for you as guests. Normally, I would have you all in a room with me. So this is a different style of setup with Zoom. Let's have a look, though. So if you're a coach who wants to add EQ to your repertoire, tonight we really want to encourage you to think about becoming an emotional intelligence coach. Change yourself, change the world. And really, change starts within. And at 6 Seconds, we really look at assessments, training, community, and solutions. And we're going to go through some of these tonight as well. Specifically, for the coach profile, for the coach pathway, which is ICF approved. Now, if you haven't heard, that is the International Coaching Federation. It's a worldwide certifying body for coaches. Coaching, if you didn't know, is still an unregulated profession, which means that honestly, you don't have to have an ICF approved diploma and course and have gone through this accreditation process. But more and more around the world, and Maria will back me up here, more and more companies are looking for ICF accredited coaches, whether you're in Australia, Austria, America, other parts of Europe. Having this qualification shows a golden standard. It shows a standard of practice and of ongoing development that you go through in order to remain a coach. Maria, do you have any thoughts on the ICF aspect of what I'm talking about here?
Yeah, absolutely. I just can underline and emphasize what you said, David, because I work mostly in the corporate arena. And as you know, it's still not a regulated profession. And over the years, depending which country we're in, we see that, and I think like Roy also mentioned, she's been looking for finding a coach school. There are lots and lots of educations offered, and a lot of them are really good, but a lot of them, unfortunately, try to offer like a weekend course or something, which is, of course, not the standard that is regulated. So that's why the ICF, the International Coach Federation, is such an important accreditation that really in the corporate world, especially coaching for leaders in the corporate area, this is a criteria that companies want to see before they hire a coach. And also the program that we're talking here about is ICF accredited, and it's an ACTP, which David, I think you will talk later more,
ACTP,
or shall I?
Yes, a little bit part as we get closer. Let's do that a little bit down the line.
Yes.
So you see here on screen, I've put here, there's 6 steps that you take in order with us to be an EQ coach and therefore also ICF accredited and ready to roll. It's not the full part of the program. And later on, I'll be sharing with you the full pathway to become either PCC as Maria is, or ACC as I am as well. But really what we're talking about tonight is this pathway and sharing with you some ideas. And if you're at different parts of the journey with us already, then this may inspire you to go on further as well. So as Maria said before, we want 1 billion people practicing EQ by 2039. And if you don't know, 6 Seconds has somebody awake across the globe all through the day and the night, depending on where you are as well. We're located in North America, South America, here in Europe, of course, tonight, right down through to the Middle East, down as you see there into APAC, and then up towards even Japan and parts of China as well. So a truly global organization, and we're 25 years old, which means that we've been around long enough to really serve the community with emotional intelligence from that practical point of view, learnable, measurable, and a way in which we can grow our EQ as well. I've been with the organization since 2017. Maria, you've been with them a lot longer. How long is it now?
Yes, I start to feel old when I say that. No, it's since 2008, actually.
Wonderful,
yeah.
Wonderful. So, and this coaching program, I think, has been around for maybe not since 2008, but certainly for several years now, and is one of our stronger programs that we thoroughly recommend that you should think about tonight as you are here. So let's just jump into it. I want to ask you now, the chat should be live. I found a button I found a button right down in the bowels here of Zoom that I hope will allow us to chat. Everyone can chat with everyone now, which is an important thing as well. So let's see if that works. But how do you define, great, thanks, Rula. How do you define coaching? So add your responses now to the chat as we go along. It'd be great to hear what your definition of coaching is in your mind. A little bit of interaction here with you as well. Guidance. Thanks, Rula. Yeah, that's certainly an effective word. And I invite Helena and Manuela and Tatiana as well, if you have some thoughts. Our colleague online here, actually both Ilaria and Giovanna are also ACC and PCC coaches as well. So maybe you have an idea about what coaching is. But for those who are perhaps newer, you think. So we see guidance there. Maria, any top of line thoughts for you? Partnership to improve and change. Thanks, Ilaria.
Yes, partnership or the guide on the site is what is also I love to see and visualize coaching.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that. A guide on the side. So now technically here is the definition from the ICF. It defines as a partnering, yes, with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. So I love this because maybe you're on LinkedIn too, like I am, Maria. Well, we're both on LinkedIn, but the point is I see a lot of people who claim to be coaches who say, I can 10x maximize your potential. And, they provide coaching in the context of, more finance, more money, more clients, more this and more that. And so coaching becomes very muddied and watery regarding what it actually is. Partnering with clients, and I chose this word maximize, to help somebody maximize their personal and professional potential. So for that, we go through a thought-provoking and creative process. So coaching is not about it's about unlocking the potential. Absolutely. There's also a phrase that says we can't coach those who don't wish to be coached. So we have to remember, especially as coaches, that we don't ambush coach people, that we don't just use this process, but really it's partnering, therefore, that's key. People who are a willing coachee with a willing coach, coming together in agreement to then go through this process together. Maria, do you have any other thoughts you want to add to this ICF definition?
I think I also saw that what the ruler wrote, oh my gosh, yes, unlocking potential. And I think the word unlocking is such a crucial word in the coach process. And I also find it's such a fine line between the thought-provoking process and still creating a safe space, because we want to encourage people in a coaching session to positive change. And this is also where then the EQ element comes in, that you will speak in a little while.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's about your path and your journey towards fulfillment. And I love what you said, Maria, creating a safe space. So this is the technical definition of coaching, but thinking about now, we don't have breakouts, that's my mistake, but thinking about when can we use coaching and when can we not use coaching? So maybe you have an example, those who are watching right now, when could you use coaching? What kind of a situation could come up where coaching could be useful? And when should we not use coaching? So maybe answering one or the other or both. I just give you a moment now to consider either of these questions. Any thoughts you might have? I think I'll answer the second one myself. I mentioned before this idea of ambush coaching, which is certainly the idea that, you know, we learn a new skill, we become competent in something, and we feel like everybody should do it or everybody should know about it and go through it. That's certainly not how we use coaching in this sense as well. And perhaps too, when we're thinking about wanting to direct people and consult people. So initially when I'm approached and consulted, yeah, that would be when you could use coaching ruler. Now, when we don't consult people, yeah, that's when we shouldn't use coaching. And coaching is not mentoring, it's not training, and it's not other forms of personal development that you might think about. So like I said before, 10x your clients is not coaching. People often talk about this mindset coaching and all sorts of other coaching that sort of sometimes, as I said, really kind of muddies the waters for the general public and population about what is actually coaching. It's guiding from the side. It's asking good questions, and it's being able to unlock and maximize that potential for others.
Yeah, and I think also, if I may add, David, to that, also, are we in agreement with the coachee who wants to be coached, or is it something we think the other person needs coaching?
Absolutely, and certainly in the corporate environment too, isn't it? That's a bit tricky, because sometimes an organization may say you need coaching, but really the person who's receiving that is not interested for whatever reason. And it may therefore not prove to be a valuable process to that person because they're kind of being forced into it. Just as if you said, David, go and learn how to use Zoom properly. I might say, okay, well, it's important for my job, so I will. But if you said, David, go and learn Excel spreadsheets, I'd probably say, no, thanks. You know, coaching in that area is not going to get the results that we want. So let's have a look at what is emotional intelligence, because EQ coaching is the style of coaching that we offer at 6 Seconds. And emotional intelligence is about blending thinking and feeling to make optimal decisions. And this is our KCG model on screen, which has 8 competencies that underline this emotional intelligence framework that we're talking about. Ultimately, it's about being smarter with feelings. It's a learnable skill, and it's measurable with tools. And this is one of the benefits of choosing 6 Seconds as your coaching provider, because there are tools that you will be able to have access to and be certified to use as we go along through the process as well. So we offer EQ solutions outside of coaching, which really develop these skills as well.
And if I may add to this as well, David, sharing a bit my experience, because I had a coaching certification before I came to 6 Seconds. And actually, I had a coaching degree from systemic and neuroleadership, other fantastic coaching schools before. However, only when I found 6 Seconds, before actually we had a coaching certification, I realized that for me, this was the missing link to add the emotional level to all of that. Okay. Because it's really, then I understood that now it really makes a difference. And this is what I was looking for before. Because it's, as we know, humans, we are not just rational. We do need a rational angle to coaching. However, for me, to bringing this together is really how are we as a coach combining our head our heart and our hands to
Mm.
really make a difference. So kind of this being smarter with feelings.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. I love that. Head, heart to hands. Why not? Yeah. The connection we think about probably the least in our lives, don't we? So this is
Exactly.
EQ in a short frame. And of course, we're going to talk more about how you can enhance your EQ as well as we go through this platform tonight. So to become more emotionally intelligent, this is the first part of the coaching pathway. And it's actually a pathway, as you said, Maria, that when you started, you were already a coach, but you started to build these skills to really enhance your coaching practice. So for those of you who are watching, who are already established coaches, this EQ component may be what you're looking for, as Maria found as well. It's in 3 steps: unlocking EQ, our practitioner course, and our assessor course. Both of the practitioner assessors are certifications because they allow you to use tools that we have and assessments within our 6 seconds framework as well. So everyone starts in our universe with unlocking EQ. This is the first step that we all take in order to understand the basic models of 6 seconds and what they bring in terms of their power just as a resource and a methodology. In the practitioner course, we go through into a deep dive situation where you're able to really understand for yourself what EQ means for you. So we often, go even in the coaching process, you will be coached if you go through the pathway. There is a period of coaching that aligns for you. So in the practitioner course, it's usually a week-long course. There are several meetings and 3 full days of interaction with you in groups, virtually at the moment. We're also looking to do this live later on in the year. And this is a framework that allows you to really understand those 8 competencies that I showed before. Once you've had this practical element, sorry, Maria, yeah, jump in.
Sorry, what I wanted to add to this again is also, like you said, it starts with yourself, right, David? And I want to underline that, and fat and bold letters. Yeah. I think also the 6 seconds coach pathway, what I love about it, because it really starts with yourself. And it doesn't just start with yourself with coaching, it starts with yourself with really practicing emotional intelligence first as such an important fundamental base of even getting then afterwards into the coaching process.
And these 2 levels, if honest, we have coaches, we have HR managers, we have business professionals, we have retirees, we have all sorts of people join this program, whether you're on the coaching pathway or another of our pathways, or you just want to enhance, as you said, underlining that, Maria, is great. And then you go into starting your assessment journey. That means the assessor certification allows you to use some of our deeper reports. I'm going to show those reports in a moment that allow you to then use EQ with others. So maybe you are a consultant or a coach or an HR professional, and you want to have a tool that can really support you. And this is part of the reason I joined 6 Seconds. In my own background, I studied psychology, I sang opera, I did all sorts of things. And then when I moved into this world of coaching, I decided also to choose the assessor course because it allowed me to have a usable, functional tool that can allow me to open conversations with people, to dive deeper into their EQ, but then it also leads to that emotional element. We're not all rational and we're not all emotional. We are a blend right in the middle that we need to understand. And I found, being an opera singer, for instance, that I could be in touch with my emotion, but how could I unlock that for others? And this tool in the assessor course, one of a couple that you can be certified in, allows you to really understand that more. So these, the brain profile ruler, we will get to in a moment. Yes, I'll explain that a little bit later. So these 3 steps here form actually what is called the core within 6 seconds as well. So going a little deeper into these EQ assessments, as part of that assessor certification, you actually get 3 different reports. Our leadership profile, which is a good 45, 46 page report. Then our neural net, which is based on AI, and this is AI before ChatGPT. Let me tell you, our neural net has been around at least for about, I think, 5, maybe 10 years as well. So maybe Ilaria Isapato, who's online, if you are there, maybe you can share with us that. It was developed in Italy, where Ilaria and Giovanna are based, and certainly now is used worldwide to really enhance that power. So based on your scores, the algorithm and the AI generates specific action steps and things for you to take across our 4 life success areas as well. I don't want to go too deep into models and things tonight, but really just keeping an overview. There's also the development report. So if you are a coach that's interested in personal development for yourself, but also for others, these 3 assessments can really give you functional tools that will allow you to really help people to explore their context, their reality, their options, and of course their way forward, how they can integrate emotional intelligence into their own lives as well. So then we move on now, which is to the neural net ruler. I see your questions coming through. This is lovely. The neural net is one of the report pathways. It's an AI generated part of our system that can generate a series of action steps and AI suggestions based on the assessment score. That when you take our SAE assessment, which is our main assessment tool, then that will generate results for you, for your personal development as well. It's part of our assessor program. So if you're already doing that, you mentioned Dubai and choosing 6 seconds, that's wonderful. Then you'll come across that in the assessor certification as well.
And you can see also that Ilaria, thank you, Ilaria added in the chat the link to all the sample reports in the different languages. Thank you, Ilaria.
Yeah.
So for everybody on the webinar, please just feel free, copy the link out and have a look.
Absolutely. And if you're watching this later, you can also get in touch with us, I guess, either with myself or Ilaria, Maria, Giovanna, others in our team, and we can also send you on that link as well. So once you've done the EQ component, which is all part of the pathway, as I said, it's 6 steps. You've already covered the first 3 steps by doing that particular aspect. You move into the coach-specific training that is also across these 3 steps. You see here, foundations, integrations, and solutions. So this allows you, again, to develop yourself, but then also giving you the tools and the training as part of the ACT pathway. Now, this pathway means that it integrates and includes all aspects of the coaching pathway. Whoop. And I had some notes that I had here, but Maria, can you share with us a little bit more about the coaching aspect? There was one particular definition that I found that very nicely defines what the ACTP actually is, which I should have done earlier.
I can explain it in my own words, David. I hope that works.
Yes.
Because actually, I did experience, as I said, I was a coach before, so I experienced a non-ACTP ICF accreditation and an ACTP ICF accreditation. So in my words, what we offer at 6 seconds here, the ACTP pathway, is actually the pathway closest connected and approved and accredited by ICF. So which means when you go through the pathway and you need to hand in your final exam and final recording of a coaching session, 6 seconds will approve. Otherwise, if you do it via non-ACTP, that means you have to do that separately, send it into ICF. So you hand it into ICF, who actually didn't follow you and support you throughout the pathway. So it's a very different connection and experience when you do it in the same organization with the same committee then who also approves. So in addition, of course, once you have then the EQ coach certification from 6 seconds, you still need to go and apply at ICF for your ACC, that's advanced coach certification, or PCC, professional coach certification, for the ICF accreditation. But that's always the case. So in short, it's the closest ICF approved and accredited certification you can do.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I found my definition. So to extend on what you've said, it also says here, I mean, it stands for Accredited Coach Training Program, for those who love acronyms. And I found here that it said that institutes that are accredited they are allowed to conduct programs that allow for coach training at all 3 levels, in fact. So we don't have an MCC level, but we are an ACTP approved coach provider. We're also an ICF business partner, which is something we're very proud of, which means we have an even closer connection to the ICF as well. And so there are specific requirements, as Maria said, which are all is included in the ACT pathway. So really, once you've done all 3 levels here, you're actually eligible to then go towards the next step, which I'll explain in a moment as well. So doing this coach training in this way, I think, is also important. That's what I did in my coach training. It was in Australia, where I'm from originally, and it included some 189 hours of training, which was well above the minimum standard that you need of 125 to complete as part of the coach training as well. But it includes the mentoring hours. It includes all the relevant aspects that you need across these 3 courses that you do with us as well. And it's very much an experiential aspect. As I said before, people who go through the program, you get, as part of your learning and development, you'll be coached, you'll be coaching, you will work in triads, you will be observed, you will record sessions, you attend online sessions. These 3 programs are delivered virtually at the moment, which is wonderful. So that depending on your time zone means you can drop in, you can be in the comfort of your own home to complete these as well. And we have a link at the end to our events page, shows you more about where you can learn about when the dates are and things. But for the moment, really underlining these 3 aspects as well. And if you are already a coach certified with the ICF, then I believe Coach Foundations and Integrations can go towards your continuing coach education credits, which means that for your renewal in 2-3 years' time, you'll be able to have a certain number of core competencies and research competencies to have to your accreditation as well.
And also, David, as somebody was asking before in the chat about the brain profiler certification, right? This is where it comes in here now, because in the certified coach foundation, the CCF, as we call it here, the first one,
yes,
in there, you also leave the program with the brain profiler certification.
So
this is part. This is included in part of this. So with the CCF, you really start to understand and start to practice the skill of being a coach, and also learn how, because you learned about the 6 seconds model, of course, in your certifications before, but here you learn how to use the 6 seconds model as a coaching model.
Wonderful.
And practicing it already with the brain profiles. So I think the beauty of this is because it includes so many hours of theory, and of course also a lot of practice, is that you, in addition to your coach certification, you also get tools and the brain profile, and before they all the say assessments.
Yeah, wonderful. That's great. Because in fact, in a moment, I'll explain a little bit more about the brain profiles, which can also be taken separately, but it's great to know that they're part of the CCF as well. So this is what the 6 steps look like. And these are the actual badges I've chosen to represent you here on screen that you can see. So when you complete each level, you get these, which you can use on LinkedIn and on other websites. You can add to your email chain as well, which then lends itself, you saw in the beginning, I showed up later, the orange badge that really shows you completed the whole cycle as well. But on top of this, so you need to do the training. And this is something when I have individual chats with people, I really want to highlight and explain. It's not just about do the training and you are done. There's 3 steps, as you said before, Maria, to ICF accreditation, whether that's for associate certified, or associate credentialed coach or professional credentialed coach. You need to complete either 100 or 500 hours. We aim to have people go right to the 500 hours, allowing enough time to get that PCC level straight up. But certainly after 100, you're eligible for the ACC. So when you have the training, plus you have the hours. Then on top of that, you need to do the credentialing exam. And if you're an ACC coach like me, who's got now 500 hours, who's ready to go off and be a PCC, I now have to do the exam again. So please understand that if you're an ACC, any accreditation change, so even if you're going, maybe Maria, one day from PCC to MCC, you'll have to do the exam again. So it has been a change within the ICF standards. And this is the important point to make, that as we are a business partner, as we do have this close connection with the ICF, we remain on top of those standards. We make sure that any changes in ethics, any changes in core competencies, we understand, and we absolutely change our curriculum to match those current standards as well. And that's something that I think we really pride ourselves on, and we can utilize to help people understand in the future as well.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
There are these, different steps.
Absolutely. And I think it's important, even I'm not a big fan of all these bureaucratic steps, but I just actually beginning of this year had to renew my PCC again. And first I was like, oh my God, why again? As I said, but then of course I had to go through the ethics courses. And I realized the importance of really being up to date all the time, because we know times are changing, and also ICF is really on top to adjusting their competencies or their ethical standards according to what's needed and relevant. Yeah.
I think that's absolutely fantastic. And you think of other professions. We expect this of doctors, lawyers, dentists, accountants, with tax and things like this. But how often do those groups honestly say that they are up to date? So that's what I love about coaching and about being an ICF approved coach, is that I know that I can, with this investment, yes, it's ongoing, but I can really make sure that I'm absolutely on top of what is current and important for everybody. So at the end, you get not only our badge to say you are a certified EQ coach, but if you complete those credentials, I include them here. These are the current labels that, again, you pop on your email, you pop on LinkedIn, and really these are a standard of approval. And Maria, you're in charge of our corporate aspect at 6 Seconds. How important is it for corporates to see ICF and EQ accreditation in terms of engaging with companies, and organizations?
Absolutely. I mean, in my opinion, it's really, really important. But of course, it always depends who are your client. If you maybe work with a small corporate business in a village on the countryside, they might not ask for any ICF. So I'm always also, when I speak to potentials EQ coach people, and they ask me how important this is, I said, well, I give the question back, who are you planning to work with? But as soon as you want to enter an organizational level or international organizations, it's absolute must nowadays. It is a must.
Yeah, 100%. Great. Rula, so to your question, PCC is equal to ACTP. ACTP is the type of program, which means that everything's included. Here we're talking about the difference. The training with us is the same whether you want to be ACC or PCC. The question then is when you can apply, whether you've done 100 hours of, it's not about training, sorry, it's about 100 hours of practice with people, paid hours. So maybe I didn't make that clear before. You do the training with us, which is ACTP approved, as we are a provider. On top of that, you need to keep a log of all the hours that you do with people. So when I finished my training in 2014, it took me 6 years actually, because I wasn't doing it full time, to get my 100 hours. And in the last 2 years, I've done more full-time coaching, and my 500 hours have now appeared.
And the beauty with the program here that we see now with all the badges is that it's really a program that you can grow with on the way. Because when you think you start with unlocking EQ, you start really fresh with emotional intelligence. You don't even talk about coaching yet. It's just wonderful. I have been joining, mentoring, supporting people on the whole pathway from Unlock EQ to till CCS in different forms as a mentor or certification programs. And it's wonderful to see how people develop and grow through the program. And it's a longer stretch. Some take 1 or 1.5 years. And you can start collecting the hours from the beginning. So like David said, it took him 6 years. But I just the other day, and we just today on LinkedIn, Benoit in France, for example, just got his ACC. He really had the hours very soon after he got EQ certified. He had also the hours for ICF. So when you really plan this well, you can have your hours ready when you finish as well the certification.
Yeah, that's great. Absolutely. I know when I did my training, I only had 25 hours at the end of the coaching course, because you can't look at hours behind. So even if you said, but David, I've been doing this kind of coaching stuff for a couple of years now, and I might have the 500. I'm sorry, but you can't count that. But as you said, Maria, from once you sign on to the coach program, from Unlocking EQ onwards, you can count hours that you are working towards. And there's also a percentage within those 500 or 100 that can be pro bono. I think it's around 20 to 25%, which does mean that you can offer that. And I remember in my program, well, paid coaching could be offering coaching for €1. So it doesn't have to be your regular corporate rate or something. It could be a rate that you feel comfortable with to do that as part of your pathway. And I know now I also include in my coaching agreements with my clients to always say, can I include our hours together as part of my further accreditation? And please sign to agree that you acknowledge that as well. So that's also one thing to keep going when you are certifying, that having that agreement in place with people to really ask them to be willing to share in that with you. So you've done the pathway, you've done the hours, and you've done the credentialing, and you become an EQ coach. That's fantastic. And then you're not only ICF approved, but you're also 6 Seconds approved. And there are other organizations around Europe like the EMCC that you can also look at finding equivalency with them as well. So if you're more European based, I think that's the European Mentoring and Coaching Consortium of sorts is the name there. But as I said, we're an ICF partner, and that's why we've talked about that tonight. Just before we do wrap it up and take any further questions you might have, I wanted to share that as part of that coaching journey, you will have a chance to get hands-on with some tools that can really help you, like our EQ Coach cards. These are a fantastic tool full of questions that you can use around the KCG model. And maybe you're already an established coach and you're looking for some tools, which was part of our brief that we mentioned on LinkedIn as well. So these cards are fantastic. They can be bought in our EQ store. Likewise, our TFA cards, which you see there on screen, I think they're going through a bit of a rebrand. These are the older version, but I'm looking forward to getting my hands on some new ones. And of course, our brain talent cards, which come in this handy little bag. I use these a lot when I'm going out and doing my communication workshops and working with people, because they're a really easy, digestible, and hands-on practical way in which you can absolutely work with people. Whether you have done an assessment or not, these 3 products can actually be really helpful. Of the 3, Maria, which is your favorite?
Actually, I love the coach cards.
Yeah.
When I often, I love the coach cards for coaching debrief sessions. But then I think one of the, how should I say, the most transformational tool, I think, is the TFA card.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. These are great too. And all of these tools, coach or not, come with some exercises, some instructions inside, so you can really understand how they can be used. And thanks for coming, Tatiana. It's great to see you. I think she's already popped off. Brain talent cards, ruler. Yeah, these cards are very much useful when it comes to our assessment, which I'll show you actually now. So these brain profiles these cards can be used with these profiles, or they can be used by themselves. And so they really do talk about and define the 18 brain talents that 6 Seconds have understood and come up with over time and development of this tool. They also talk about the brain styles that we can use for communication as well. So, I do a lot of coaching in terms of language or voice, I often throw these in my bag and then I can pull them out. They're really easy to use. They're colorful. You see, according to our KCG there, and some gray cards for the brain styles as well. And so really tactile, hands-on things that you can do if you're working with people in person. These are great. And we do have, for the TFA cards, for instance, a digital version as well. As Maria said, this is available, these profiles, as part of the Foundations course of coaching. But if you wanted to do it sooner, excuse me, you can also sign up for the brain profile certification. So once you've unlocked EQ, it's possible to go straight to brain profile. So maybe you're already a coach, you've already got your ICF accreditation, and you want to add some additional tools, but you don't want to as yet sort of, launch too far in, but you need something that's good for communication, that's good for opening the conversation with people. These tools, I think, are fantastic. And what I haven't mentioned here, there's also a team dashboard, which means that if you're working with a team, everyone can take the assessment and you get a look at what are the talents within the team and how effective are we towards utilizing those talents in different areas of pursuit, like health and balance and well-being and so forth. So one other tool to share with you tonight, because this is not only about the coaching pathway, but we said we talk about our EQ tools. This tool, our vital signs tools, as part of our EQPM course, which is EQ performance metrics. It's not part of the coaching pathway, a little bit separate, but this is really useful if you're a business coach, or if this is the line that you'd like to take. Maybe you'd like to go on to be more of a consultant as well as a coach. And these three tools will help you with that. Our leadership vital signs, team vital signs, and organizational vital signs. All three are slightly different, but you get all three as part of that one certification, that EQ performance metrics tool as well. So again, a lot of information, but let me simplify it in a small process. Everyone starts with unlocking EQ. Whether you're an experienced coach, whether you've been in the industry for 20 years or not, in order to understand our models and our basic methodology. And we run these courses here every month here in Europe. They're digital. I'm the facilitator. They're online. They're fantastic. We normally get 6-7 people in a group. We have a good time. And it's a 4-hour investment plus some e-learning for you. After this, if you're a coach already, you can go to Brain Profile or Vital Signs if you're looking at the business orientation as well. These are separate certifications. But maybe you want to go on to do that coaching pathway. So you've taken step number 1, then you go through to 2 and 3 with our practitioner course, so that deep dive, then the assessor course to really already kickstart your toolkit as a coach. Then finally into those 3 levels of coach certification, where you really get into the ethics, the guidelines, the core competencies of being an ICF accredited coach. So this is the pathway that could be open to you. You could do all of it if you want to as well. But as Maria said, this is not something that we just do in a short burst. And thanks for Manuela for coming as well. So this might be a 12 to 18-month journey or a little bit longer. The journey of EQ can take up to 3 to 4 years for some people as well, but you become part of our 6 Seconds universe. You see there at the bottom on screen, 6seconds.org/events will show you where and how each of these courses are available. But certainly, if you click on to the section and drop down to Europe, you'll see all the courses that we have coming that are available. So if you'd like to find out more, office.eu@6seconds.org is the place to write to myself, to Maria, to Giovanna as well, who's also popping in her details there as well, and her email. Thanks, Giovanna. That's fantastic. And of course, if you'd like to find out more about who we are, you can see there 6sec.org/EU. So Maria, before we finish up, any final words, handing over to you?
I want to just mention as well and underline that also in the chat, Giovanna has added her email address, giovanna.severnini. You have to look at it. I'm not Italian. At 6seconds.org. Please also feel free to reach out to her for further information. my final words are actually written here on that slide. And I think it all comes back to this slogan. No matter if it's about coaching, if it's about facilitation or consulting, emotions drive people and people drive performance. And I think that's why if we try to ignore emotions in our coaching approach, we're not reaching the performance on the human side, the people side, nor on the figure side. So I think emotions drive people, people drive performance. And I hope that this was important and valuable and informative for participants on this session now or listening to the recording. And thank you, David, again, for having me here today with you.
Yes, well, thank you for joining us, Maria, and sharing your thoughts and wisdom. Wisdom lies within, one of our philosophies. That's one of my favorites as well. And we really do feel like this is a journey that if you want to be a coach and you're serious about taking that step, do it properly, do it with an ICF accreditation. Come and join us here in Europe and go through developing not only yourself, but also developing your skills as a coach for the future. It's a profession that's growing by the year. The number of coaches, I think ICF have around 80,000 members right now, but that's growing year on year. So if you want to take this step, do it with us. Thanks for joining us. Rula, it's nice to see you there. Giovanna and Helen are still online. Others had to get to family. So I wish you all a lovely evening. Thanks very much for coming, and we'll see you soon.